My God, man, you did a hell of a lot in your time in the coaching. You had sex with 5 new women. You ended up having 5 friends with benefits at the same time. You told a bunch of women, I would love to exchange orgasms with you. That was literally what you said as soon as you met them on dating apps. You had phone sex with a ton of women within 30 seconds or so of getting them on the phone. You had a day where you approached 60 women in a single day. You had sex with women of all ages, from an 18-year-old to a 60-year-old. You became way more vulnerable, honest, and authentic. You had a few older women treat you a little bit like a toy boy, buying you things, making dinner for you, spoiling you like a little bit of a king. You became way more disciplined. You worked out. You got into meal prepping almost every day, and you got your body right, and you became a lot more happy and peaceful. How do you feel after all of that?
I feel really, good about it, like for your viewers, just to kind of grasp, just everything that he said, just where it came from and what it was like before the program. It was just, there's just a lot of small steps, it's obviously things that Andy goes over on his channel. It was really a lot of small steps each and every day. And it was just not, overthinking things, not thinking, oh, I'm too fearful to do this. I'm too scared to do that. Oh no, I might fuck this up. I might, not do this correctly. And like all this analysis paralysis, it's just, hey, let's just figure something out to do and do the goddamn thing. And then course correct as you're doing that thing. And so it was just a lot of like, checking in with the program, like all the people in there, my brothers in arms, I call it, like just this big brotherhood, and checking in on a daily basis and keeping myself accountable and being very vulnerable and like having a lot of trust in those people, because there's in this program, you're going to be pretty vulnerable and you're going to be pretty like open. You just got to really trust in the people that you're working with. It was that trust that really helped. And, the encouragement, it was a hell of a journey. And it still is, even to this day.
Yeah, brother. I love one of the words that you used there, honesty and being upfront. You definitely embraced a lot of honesty and a lot of being upfront, especially when it comes to dating with women. You, like I said, were able to say to women, I'd love to exchange orgasms with you. Is that something that you're up for? You just completely went the most like autistically honest route. You were one of my favorite people that I've ever worked with. I try a lot in the coaching program and in the content to get people to be a little bit more upfront. And I say, what bad thing happens if you just tell a woman, hey, I want to have sex with you. Is that something you're up for? Or, hey, I want to get a drink, get to know you. If we like each other, we can have sex. You're the person who was just like, yeah, cool, I'm going to do that. And I was like, wait, really? Like, there's no convincing. I don't have to like explain to you why honesty works better. I don't have to explain to you how you save time. You just fucking did it. And what I would love to hear is maybe some really cool stories, of women that you had sex with or had phone sex with or met up with. Maybe what were some of the really good reactions that you got from women when you were just completely fucking upfront, no games. Here's what I want. Do you want the same thing?
Yeah, man. And again, just to kind of explain to some of your viewers that might be watching this, anytime like you have a woman you're really, really attracted to and you have sex with her, like you're definitely going to feel really good about it either way, most guys. But honestly, for me, it was, even if those women didn't have sex with me, being who I was and just having like a really positive like expectation. Like I noticed throughout the whole program, I just always thought, hey, I'm going to go fuck that woman. I got no doubt in my mind that we're having sex, and I'm going to say it as if it's a fact. And I would just literally like stay the course of my mind. I was like, I'm just going to assume the best case scenario. And that was every single time, even though I got rejected a lot. And you would think it'd be kind of like the opposite. Hey, if you get rejected a lot, you won't feel like trying, but that's actually quite the opposite. The more you actually experience that, the easier it actually gets, and honestly, I think it's the way that I had sex with these women that made it like way more epic for me and way more fun. And, we didn't play games. I mean, some of the reactions that I got was like, hey, thank you for your honesty. I'm not interested. And they left me alone. Like I've had like a lot of different reactions to that anytime that I've mentioned sex, like the wanting to have sex with these women, like very quickly. And a lot of people, they just have a lot of social programming surrounding that. They just kind of think like, hey, this is inappropriate. This is not what a gentleman does. This is not, you can't do this. And again, in my mind, it's like, I could do this. There's no law that says you can't fucking do this. I've had some crazy reactions, man, and I could see why, like, a lot of people would have a lot of fears just doing this simple thing. You would think, right? There's like these two scenarios. There's one guy, he can approach a woman, he'll talk about everything else but sex. He's okay. He's confident enough to at least initiate a conversation. He'll talk about the weather. He'll talk about her style. He'll talk about the clothes she's fucking wearing, but not what she wants, well, not what he wants to do outside of those clothes, he'll talk about everything else. And again, we could agree that, okay, he did have at least courage to approach that woman, but they'll talk, have this kind of what I call just friendly, flattering conversation, just fluff talk, trivial small talk, and they'll talk about even politics, their favorite foods, and what's on his mind is he wants to have sex with that woman, but he's afraid that if he mentions that in any way, she's going to be offended, she's going to insult him, she's going to say like a lot of things that like, hey, please like me, don't harshly criticize me, don't hurt me, like that kind of thing, like please don't slap me, that type of stuff, just all these like fears surrounding that. And it's just like they just overthink these crazy grand scenarios, like, oh, what if I say this and this woman directs a bunch of men to beat me up or something like that. Like, I've heard of so many crazy scenarios from other guys why they won't be honest like this. And I'm like, none of that stuff's happened to me, and I've done this like long enough. I mean, I've had some crazy reactions, but I've never had like, I go up to a woman, some random chick, I go up to her, hey, I think you're really sexy and attractive. Are you single? And if she says, oh, I'm single, and I learn, okay, let's exchange orgasms this week or next week. What will work best for you? And then, I get like, oh, I'm not that type of girl. Like, I don't just sleep with guys that I just met. And sometimes you can kind of tell like between rejection and resistance, there's like a big difference. One of them, you still kind of have a chance. The other, hey, you just move on to the next woman. But to go back to your question, and you mentioned something about like, the best like sex stories, like from being honest, right? It's hard to pick just one. Prior to this program, when I was still in that, PUA Bootcamp, there was one instance where, mind you, my hair was super long. It was actually, if you saw what I looked like in the program, but back then it was actually way worse, way long. And I think my mom video chatted me one time and said, you look like a homeless person. She told me I look like a homeless person, my own mom. Yeah, there was this one chick. I was approaching all over the place, and getting ignored a lot and all this other stuff. And I ended up finding this one chick, and I didn't have a lot of time to really talk to her, but I just said, hey, simple stuff. Thought you're attractive. Are you single? This one, I didn't tell her to her face that I wanted to fuck her, but I got her number. And then, later that day when I was at work, I called her. And prior to that call, I was like, hey, I'm a little nervous, but it's not like if, I always thought to myself, if I say, I want to have sex with the woman or let her know that I want to have sex with her, that I'd get slapped. I used to be that fearful. I used to think I'm going to get slapped in the face, but I've never been slapped, not one time. And I've said some crazy stuff to the woman's face. I've never got slapped. I used to have like this huge fear, like, oh, I'll get a drink thrown at me, or like a woman's going to slap me in the face if I ask if she wants to have sex, no matter how polite it is. Never happened. But so anyway, I was like, okay, well, worst is I'll say what I say. It's not like I can get punched through the phone, She might just hang up and that's it. So I had like a little bit of fear, and then I was like, I'm gonna fuck this woman. I have no doubt she's interested. I have no doubt in my mind, and I just kind of assumed it. I was pretty cocky, full blown cocky, and I got on the phone, and first words in my mouth was, hey, I thought you were really sexy when I saw you. I wanted to bend you over and fuck the shit out of you. And I said it as like confidently as I could. And she's like, initially, she's like, whoa, you're freaking bold. Jeez, whoa. And I just start talking dirty to her. And I could tell she wasn't a full blown reciprocator, but she was like, there's for the viewers that are watching that, like, they'll kind of pretend they're not interested. You kind of have to really pay attention to it, because a person that genuinely will reject you, they will not talk to you at all. They'll just end the conversation quickly. It's a big difference. She was kind of like, had a lighthearted criticisms of what I said. She's like, oh, that's way forward, that's way quick. And then I was more cocky and said, well, I have no doubt you want this dick. Are we having sex or are we not? And I would just be pleasantly, cocky, and she would have like lighthearted criticisms. And then I could tell as I ramped up the dirty talk, she was kind of giving it a little bit. Like, I could tell it's like this. One side of her brain is like, okay, I want to have sex with him. The other side is, I don't want to come off like a slut and, have sex with this guy. I'm afraid of what people will think. Maybe he's not discreet. Maybe he's going to tell other people. Just like this kind of program, her raw hormones are saying, let's have sex with this guy. He's handsome. He's bold. He's cocky. He's this. The other side's like, fuck no, I don't want to be judged harshly for these desires. So throughout this conversation, I just pretty much, we would talk normal, then I'd go back to the sex talk. And like, she talked to me for about 2 hours. Cause like at that point, yeah, I knew she was interested. The next day she came over and we had sex. And I did everything that I said I would. What I learned in that conversation was, you can't really take, too much of like a woman's criticisms. Like, she was saying stuff like, yeah, you're way too forward. I mean, like, it seems like all you care about is sex and things like that. She was giving me a lot of criticisms, pretty lighthearted, but she was definitely criticizing my behavior. But I was saying a bunch of stuff, and I even dared her to reject me. I said, well, if you don't like what I have to say, respectfully, you could end the conversation if you're truly not interested. If what I'm saying offends you, end the conversation. She didn't hang up. She wanted to try to kind of control the conversation, but she didn't hang up. I said, hey, if what I say you don't like and it doesn't rubs you the wrong way, I'm giving you an open invitation to reject me right now and the conversation. She didn't want to. Like, I knew she was interested, because any woman that will actually not want you, she's going to reject you right there. That's the difference. And during this whole conversation, man, she was pretty honest about some things I already knew. Like, I asked her some pretty direct questions that I was just so curious. I just wanted to know from a woman's perspective. I asked her, hey, has there ever been guys in your life that ever approached you in this way? She said, never. You're like the only one. Never. And I've asked her, has there ever been like guys that you knew for a fact that you knew they wanted to have sex with you, but they would never say anything? They would just kind of be willing to take you out to multiple dates, be willing to, be friends with you, but they really want to have sex with you. She's like, yeah, I have like 10 of those guys right now. And it like kind of blew my mind a little bit, because some of the stories she was telling me, I was kind of lighthearted about. I was like, if I knew those guys, I would tell them to get away from you. I would tell them to like pursue someone else. But I respected her honesty. She was honest about it. She opened up. I literally told her, hey, no judgment if you don't want to share those stories. I completely understand. And she was open to share those stories. Like, she told me stories about even rich people, like taking her out to lunch, dinner, but they would never explicitly say like, hey, I want to try to get in your pants. Nothing, I think that was one of my like favorite experiences, because like it was a pretty honest, candid conversation. And she was initially criticizing me pretty heavy,
I don't even see it as criticism. You use the word criticism a lot. I see it more as like you said, she has fears, she has insecurities. Like, wow, this guy is being so upfront and bold and honest and literally telling me, hey, I want to bend you over and have sex. The only guys that have ever really done that with me in the past have been really fucking drunk or joking or dangerous or like, I need to be careful. And so I don't even see it as she's like pushing back and criticizing. It's more that she's saying, holy shit, hold up. What the hell is going on? Is this a joke? Is there something wrong with you? Why are you being so upfront and honest? Yeah, bro, I get the same stuff sometimes. I'm not quite as cocky as you, but I am every bit as honest and upfront as you. And for anyone that doesn't know, what I do and what my girlfriend does is on Hinge and Tinder and all of that, in the bio, we literally say, hi, we're an open relationship couple. We're looking for girls to have BDSM and threesome experiences with us. Is that what you're looking for? And that's the first message I sent. Hi, would you like to try a threesome or BDSM? That's pretty fucking upfront and honest. That's exactly like you saying, hi, would you like to exchange orgasms with me? Or hi, yeah, I have no doubt that if we meet, I'm going to fuck you. That's as upfront. And I often have women saying like, why are you so upfront and honest? And it's like, because I don't want to waste time. Life is short. This is my one shot as far as I can tell. Why am I going to waste it? Like you said, being that guy who's like, I'm going to take you out on a date and drinks and all of that, and then pretend I don't want the thing that I want. Why would you be dishonest? And like you said, there's so much societal programming that says it's inappropriate to just tell a woman, I want to have sex with you. I did a podcast like a year ago called What Happens If You Literally Say to a Woman, I want to have sex with you. And then I listed out a bunch of stories of times when I've said that. That's what I do all the time now. Coaching clients like you and other people who just say, would you like to come back to my place and have sex? And what usually happens is at first she's a bit confused and she's like, whoa, what? You're not supposed to say that. And you're like, yeah, I know, but I did say that. Would you like it? And then once she gathers herself and she's like, what the fuck do I do in this situation? Like, guys don't talk to me like this. You're not supposed to do this. Fuck, is there something wrong with him? No, okay, he seems to be normal. He seems to be fine. He's just weirdly fucking autistically honest. She gathers her thoughts, and then she either says yes or no or maybe. And if it's a maybe, you can talk about it. Oh, do you just want to get a bit more comfortable first? Do you want to try again on the next date? Is there some logistical thing that you want us to handle together? Like, do you have work in the morning or something and you're thinking about that and we got to solve that problem? If it's a yes, great. Now you just get to save all of that time. You now get to go and have better sex because you can both trust each other because you've been ridiculously honest with her. And then she gets to be honest with you, like this woman that you're talking about was honest with you. And if she says no, you get to say, beautiful, great. Is it a permanent no? Like, is it a no for tonight, but maybe in the future? Or is it just like a hard no? And if it's a hard no, then you go, amazing, beautiful. I hope you find what you're looking for. And I'm going to go and try and find what I'm looking for. Now there's two people that get to go separate ways, or sometimes you can even become friends, but you go separate ways. Now you have more of a chance of both finding the thing that you want. But like you said, bro, the vast majority, I don't even think it's just men, the vast majority of human beings play life on safe mode. They're like, how can I never say what I want and then I'll never get rejected? How can I hide my true intentions and then no one can accuse me of having those intentions? And it's like, yeah, but now you have like a 100 times less chance of actually getting the thing that you want because no one fucking knows that you want it. Or the woman has to try and guess, oh, I think he wants to fuck me, but I'm not going to be the one to suggest that. It has to be him. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit. You really embraced that like masculine side of yourself that's like, all right, fine. I'm going to be the one to make the moves. I'm going to be the one to like say what I want. I'm going to be the one to ask the question of like, do you want this with me? I'm not going to sit around waiting for her. But how many guys have you seen in your life? And I know, you mentioned that you'd been to a previous pickup artist bootcamp that you spent like fucking $10,000 or $20,000 on. How much of all of that shit do they just say like, you got to try and hide your intentions and like be a bit more subtle? And how much of a difference is it to just say, yo, hey lady, here's what I fucking want. Do you want this?
It's a unique experience. I mean, it's an expensive experience. The funny thing about that whole thing, I'll give kind of like a rundown, what it was like when the first day to like the last day. Basically, it was like a lot of theory the very first day.
You're talking about the boot camp, right? The pickup artist boot camp that you spent, I think, $20,000 on or something?
More. And now thinking about it, way more. It hurts my soul to think of the cost, but it was an expensive lesson learned, I mean, it's an expensive lesson learned. And a lot of those guys, I still kind of talk to some of them. They have a lot of regret spending that kind of money. They've spent like significant money on that just to basically learn to say hello to a woman, pretty much. An expensive course on how to say hello to a woman. And a lot of these guys, like the first day, was a lot of theory and none of their stuff's original. These guys in particular, none of what they were teaching was original. It was just kind of mystery method stuff. Which for your viewers that don't know, it's a huge manual that's like 500 pages of how to basically say hello to a woman. Hey, there's like these steps, A1 to Z3 or some shit like that. And it's a lot of steps too. And these guys, they would like say, hey, you need to follow these steps or you're not going to get laid. They would talk like, really bad. If you don't follow this step, this is how if you want to get dime pieces in your bedroom, you need to follow these steps. And it was a lot of theory, and plus a lot of these guys, they would like kind of be braggy. They would talk about all these women that they had sex with. Like each of these guys were claiming they had like hundreds and hundreds of really gorgeous, attractive women and all this stuff. And I really didn't like pay too much attention to that. Like they were like tooting their own horn and stuff like that, and I didn't really care for it. There was probably like more than half of the guys in there. There was like one guy that I could see had some challenges. He was like a 35-year-old virgin. I could see that he had some challenges because he was really like shy and really nervous. He wasn't like, I don't like, calling people ugly or anything like that. I don't like doing that. But for the purposes of society, we consider him like an average guy. Like I'm an average guy, like we're average guys. Most of society, we're pretty much average guys. We could always, do what we can to improve all that stuff. It's a different topic. But for the purpose of that, he was like an average Asian guy. He was a 35-year-old virgin. I don't even think he really approached. Then there was like a few other guys. There was a guy who was like a male model. He really didn't need to be in there. He was like 6 foot. He almost got drafted to play professional baseball. So there was that guy. Then there was this Irish dude, same thing. He was hella good looking. He didn't need to be in there. And there was like a few other folks, like they were all pretty much either really good looking or they just didn't have much of any experience with women. It was really just that guy. And then, everybody else, they had experience with women. So they would go over all these like different techniques, like, negging, demonstrate higher value, DHV, you need to show that you're a high value man, that you're alpha and stuff like that. All these kind of buzzwords, these terms, you need to show that woman that you're alpha. Never, ever show weakness and all this other stuff, So they would talk like that, right? And they would talk about like, yeah, brotherhood's important, and they would say some funny like stuff that like I'll never forget how like ridiculous it all was. But they would teach us these concepts. We're in this nice mansion. It was a nice place. Well, it wasn't a mansion, it was a penthouse. It was really nice. It makes me wonder how the fuck this guy got that. He got it by scamming a bunch of dudes, but like he would talk about like, all these things. And I remember he would make it a point. It's like this short, like Indian guy. He would make it a point to mention how much women he's had sex with. It's like he was like insecure. It was weird, man. He would always talk about like how many women he would fuck, and like he'd be like, yeah, I never get rejected. Like, you're full of shit, man. But I didn't say it. I was like, you're full of shit. He's like, I never get rejected. Women always enjoy my company, and the way he would talk. And like, I would be like, hey, I appreciate whatever the fuck you're saying. But yeah, there was that guy. And then he had like another person that would help him teach, is like a tall Canadian dude. Again, same thing. He was good looking. He didn't have to do much. So this program, he teaches a bunch of theory. We went through all these theory stuff. The third day, there was like a freaking club open. I'll never forget this. I'll never, ever forget this. It was called Mr. Wolf. We went in there, me and a bunch of these guys. And dude, that was a fucking tough place, man. That was a tough spot. Like, all the women were like, I think I remember I just tried approaching like normal. The instructors would criticize me like right away, like tell me, you're not doing it right. See that woman, how she reacted to you because you didn't demonstrate enough value. And it was like nitpicky. And I was like, what the fuck? I can't even enjoy this. Like, I can't enjoy going to the club. They just kind of like nitpicky and stuff like that. And then they'd have like a table, and like they would try to like, hey, only go for the hottest chicks, man. Bring them to this table so you can invite them to the after party so we can get laid, Just the way they were like talking, like all serious about it, They're like you need to get laid, like just shit like that, And it made me laugh. Like I would hide it, but I would kind of laugh. I was like, okay, it's good to get laid. I don't think you need to, but it's good to. And it just like, it would just make me laugh, man. But anyway, we went to this place, and I'll never forget this, man. and not his real name, but let's just call him, Richard. Of course, not his real name. The dude that was a 35-year-old Richard. I'll never forget this. I'll never ever forget this. He was trying to like dance with like these chicks, right? And I remember they were like asking him for a drink, and they were like just kind of teasing him and stuff like that. And just the way that I felt kind of bad for him, sorry for him. He bought them like some expensive drinks, man. And like after that, they ghosted him right there. And he looked really down. And I like looked at him. I was like, come here, man. You're good. You didn't do nothing wrong. You're good. It really fucked up his whole night. And those girls, they were like cock teasing a lot of guys anyway, and they were asking for drinks from hella guys. They're not doing that. They were you just weren't man enough. That's why they didn't want you. Your approach was wrong. They make it seem like anything you do, if you fail to get laid with that woman, like if a woman rejects you, you must have did something wrong, or you didn't follow this technique correctly. Reality is there's just some women that don't want to fuck you, man. Like that's what I was thinking in my head. Like just the common, like logical thing. It's impossible. There's just some women you're not their fucking type. And I was getting so pissed off over that. Like when they would say you must have did something wrong. No, it's pretty rare very, very rare instances where like someone's like, oh, you actually did something wrong. It's really fucking rare.
It's like some coaching programs like this Pickup Artist Bootcamp that you were in. It's like they don't understand the concept that some women are not going to sleep with you. And everything they do seems to be to try and avoid rejection. It's like they're like, we got to never lose, and we have to avoid losing at all costs. We have to prevent or delay or avoid rejection. And if you ever get rejected, that's terrible. It's bad. It's awful. It's the worst thing ever. It means you're not man enough. You failed. You fucked up. You need to read more shit. You need to buy more of my bootcamp material. You need to try harder. It's like they've forgotten what the goal was in the first place. One, to get laid or to get a girlfriend. That's why most guys go to these boot camps. And two, why do I want those things? Because I want to be happy. So it's like they forgot that the entire point was to be happy. And like you said, they nitpick, they criticize, they say, this is wrong, you should have done that, that's bad. What if you helped your students have a more positive, stoic, rational, happy, peaceful mindset so that if a woman says, no, thank you, I'm not interested, he's like, cool, I hope you have a beautiful night. It was really nice talking to you. I hope you have a happy life. And she's like, wow, thank you. I hope you have a nice night too. And you're like, oh, cool. I made a friend or a little temporary friend. Now I go talk to the next woman.
Yeah, I'll never forget that day because that dude was spending money on drinks and stuff like that. And that was a crazy like first time they're going to a club. And then same thing, we would like approach during the day and like they would dress us up and all sorts of stuff. I remember prior to them doing the dress up and they just had us approach as like regular guys. I remember, I was approaching more than anybody else and I kept getting like ignored quite a bit. And the dude's like, just stop. You're coming off as a creep. You're coming off as this. You're doing way too much. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm doing like exactly what's being told of me. And I'll be honest, it kind of did piss me off a little bit because I'm like, what am I paying this motherfucker a lot of money for? What am I paying this motherfucker a lot of money for?
To be told that you're creepy.
Yeah. And like saying, well, you're going to, come off this way. And funny thing is, this motherfucker, I think he only approached like one woman in the entire fucking camp, man. One fucking woman. I remember, this is what he said. I'll never forget this. He was like hoping he doesn't get a negative reaction. He's like, he went up to this really tall Caucasian woman, and I could tell the body language. She was like, he was trying to show off, right? He was just like, hey, look what I'm going to do, guys. Look at how alpha I am and masculine I am. And he tries to approach this girl, and she does give him like a positive response a little bit. But I could tell, she didn't want she didn't want him at all, but like she politely let him down a little bit. And the guy's like, see, she didn't shrug me off. Like these false positives, right? Like she was really friendly and receptive towards me. So that must have meant I did something right, like he was like making it, seem like that's such a big ass deal. And other people were kind of looking at it, they're like, okay, And the funny part about all that was, man, I can tell when he was approaching, the look on his face was like, I hope she doesn't reject me really hard because it's in front of all of us. He's trying to show off because if the woman rejects him really hard based on his logic, he must have did something wrong. right?
Yeah, it's like he's more focused on himself rather than you and what the students like you need. And so if you kind of step back a little bit, one of the most helpful things that could have happened is for him to walk up to a woman. She does shoot him down and say, "No, thank you, I'm not interested." And then he handles that with grace and he's like, "No worries, I hope you have a beautiful night. It was nice talking to you." Then he comes back and he goes, "See, guys, even if a woman says no to you and she's kind of rude to you, nothing bad happens. You can be okay. You can hold your head up high. You can be polite and loving and gentle with her and say, 'Hey, it was nice to meet you. Have a nice night.' And then it'll be okay." And now, when you guys go and do this, if a woman shoots you down, you might feel some emotions. You might feel a bit shit. You might feel like crying. That's okay. Come back here. We'll talk about it. You'll be okay. I promise it's okay. We all felt like that too. It's almost like they're trying to keep up the facade of being the expert or the guru, rather than realizing that if you give yourself permission to suck, you actually perform better. If you go through some experiences that most people would call negative, like a rejection, that is actually good for you because that can build some stoicism, some resilience, and all of that. Like you said, if you spend your entire coaching career or just your entire life avoiding fear and avoiding rejection and avoiding failure and avoiding mistakes, you build them up into these big, scary, terrifying things that now you live in fear of. And I'm telling you, and anyone who's had a decent amount of sex or experience will tell you, if you want a lot of sexual experience, you need to almost run head first, not into rejection, but run head first into the numbers game, which means lots of women will say no to you because guess what? Not everyone wants to sleep with you. Not everyone is looking for the same thing that you're looking for. So if you spend all your time avoiding rejection, you also spend all of your time avoiding victory. Literally, you will win less.
That's 110% true, and I mean, like the unlimited tries thing, that's definitely true in my own life, obviously. But yeah, man, like he was so like fearful. I'll never ever forget like some of those things. And I remember, like after some of the times where we like approached a lot, they would come back and they would ask us how we're doing and stuff like that. And then they would like critique. And this one dude, again, we'll just call him Richard. He was approaching a lot too, man. And he had like some challenges I noticed, but he literally everywhere we went, he was approaching a lot and he was doing all their techniques. Everything that they asked of him, literally everything that they asked of him. Some of the other guys, they weren't doing any of that stuff. I didn't see them doing any of that stuff. Like legit. I think they just, I don't know, man. But this dude, he was approaching a lot and he would have like kind of like a grievance. He's like, "Oh, I approached this girl and like we talked and stuff and she didn't seem very interested in me. Did I say something wrong? Did I do something wrong?" And I remember outside of, when we were hanging out in between, it's kind of like, think of it like a team sport. You're with your locker room buddy, and you have these conversations. You kind of build like a bond with these guys. And he would tell me, "Hey, what did I say wrong?" I told him, "Dude, there's just women that don't want to fuck you. Like there's women that don't find you attractive, man. Just like, let's flip it around. There's some women that you don't find attractive, and there's some women that if they approached you and tried the same fucking," he had this attitude of like, "I really, want these chicks to like me, and I really, I really want this to work." And I remember he had like a disconnect. He literally could not accept the factual explanation that I was explaining to him. He couldn't accept it. And I literally, like, he would come to me and, have these reservations, and I would let him know, like, "Look, you're not doing anything wrong. You're putting in a lot of effort. You should give yourself a pat on the back. You're a fucking man as far as I'm concerned. Just because someone doesn't, it's out of your control. You're doing everything in your power. And you should give yourself a pat on the back. Let's prioritize effort over quote unquote results. You're getting results in a different way." And I just think, he was being really hard on himself. He was like, "I'm following this technique and it's not really working." And I told him, "Fuck the technique, man. You're putting in effort, like you're doing what you're supposed to do." And the coaches were saying, "Well, you're not being masculine enough. Your body language is off. You're not appearing more dominant, so they're treating you like a friendly, nice guy." And it was like weird, man, because he was doing everything that they asked. And there was other guys, they were getting some crazy results. Like there was one dude, he didn't need to be in there. In fact, the stuff he was doing, it was like this Irish guy. The stuff he was doing was anything you or I or any of your listeners could do, like nothing. One day he got laid with 3 different girls. He had 3 different chicks in one full day. And funny again, this will go on the that I've heard from these guys. There was like a class and he was getting laid with 3 girls in one day. And the instructor was like, well, such and such, he's missing out on learning some great game, like, yeah, he's getting laid, but he's missing out on learning this great game stuff. And what he was teaching us right there was like some stupid Instagram stuff. And he was really bragging about himself. Like, yeah, look at my profile. I get all these views. And it was like fucking stupid. I was like, dude, this dude's getting the results you want us to have. Like, he's getting laid like 3 times, but I already knew why. It was his looks and he just talked to enough girls. He wasn't doing anything special. He just ran into 3 reciprocators that found him attractive, that the logistics was right. He wasn't using any of these techniques. He would try to be funny. They wouldn't give a fuck though. They were already wanting him, So it was just like funny. That was like, he's missing out on learning this great game. The instructor is making it seem like he was like missing out on learning something so profound and so special when he wasn't. He was getting his dick sucked. He was fucking these girls, man. And he had it 3 times in one day. It's crazy.
Dude, it's like people lose sight of the goal. This happens all the time. Like a lot of you watching, lose sight of the goal, whatever your goal might be. And you get caught up in all these extra steps that you think you need to take. Like so many guys ask me this question. How do I improve my text game? How do I get good with my game? And it's like, look, if you want to do that shit, go and do that shit. If that genuinely brings you joy, getting good at text game and all of that, fucking go do it. But don't lie to yourself and say that it's necessary. It's not. Don't say that it's mandatory. It's not. You can skip all that by just improving yourself, fixing your mindset, and then going and talking to a lot of women. That's it. And being upfront and honest. Hey, do you want this? Hey, do you want this? Hey, would you like to do this with me? Hey, I'm thinking about this. Do you want to do it with me? Hey, here was my plan. Do you want to come along? Like if you have that mindset and you go talk to a couple of 100 women, some of them are going to say yes. That's it. It's not any more complicated than that. Or you could spend the next 5 years learning game and getting really good at game. Meanwhile, you could have had sex with X number of women, 50 women, I don't know, 100 women. Or you could have found some amazing girlfriend, settle down, build a family, have a beautiful life, but you were too busy reading fucking instruction manuals on game and subcommunication and all of that. Again, if you genuinely find that stuff interesting and fun, go do it, but it's definitely not mandatory. And something else you said there, the pickup artist bootcamp that you went to, it felt like they were often nitpicking and telling you, this is wrong, that's bad, don't do this, you shouldn't have done that, you should have done this. And almost like they forgot to celebrate the little wins and the baby steps. A big part of what we do in our coaching program, as you know, is celebrate every tiny little victory. Every tiny little bit of action that you take, congratulations, that was awesome. You're a man or you're a woman. You did a really good job. Keep it up. Let's go do more. And if some guy comes back and says, I'm feeling a bit disheartened or I'm feeling down or I'm feeling sad, it's like, hey, how can we pick you up, brother? Rather than in that moment criticizing you and saying, that's wrong, you shouldn't have done this, this is bad. It's like, what actionable steps can we take to improve this? And I think a lot of maybe other coaches or a lot of just people in general are so hyper-focused on like, what did we do wrong? What was bad? Why didn't this work? We should have fixed this. I failed. I fucked up. They forget to celebrate that you're doing a lot right. You're doing a lot that's worth a pat on the back. And what happens is if you just keep criticizing someone, or for all of you listening, if you keep being critical of yourself and beating yourself up, you eventually get overwhelmed and you think, what's even the point? Every time I fucking try, it's not enough. Like the guy that you're talking about, the guy that you nicknamed Richard, you said he's out there talking to all these women, putting in all this effort, trying his fucking heart out, but he's probably feeling like nothing I do is good enough. Every time I try, I did something wrong. I'm not alpha enough. I'm not dominant enough. I didn't have good enough game. I didn't sub-communicate. I didn't build enough fucking shit. And everything I do is bad and wrong. I'm never going to fix this. I'm never good enough. The hopelessness fills up. And then you go, maybe it's just not for me. Maybe I can't get women. Whereas the approach that we like to take in the content and the coaching is like, every single one of you listening is more than good enough. Whatever your goal might be, whether you're a man, you're a woman, doesn't matter. Whatever your goal is, you are absolutely fucking capable of doing it. You might need to do some baby steps. You might need to learn some things. You might need to practice. You might fucking suck at the start, but you're all capable. There is not a single one of you listening who is incapable of your goals. And that is such a different radical notion from like, oh yeah, you're fucking up, this isn't good enough. And so switching it up to be a lot more positive and to be a little bit more, I don't know, humble, and to just say, look, it's okay that you don't know what you're doing. It's okay that you made some mistakes. They're learning experiences. Let's just take some baby steps. That's far more accessible and approachable to the average person. But if you try and tell the average person you have to be a fucking alpha male Chad and you've got to be dominant and perfect when he's a fucking virgin, bro, that's insane. That's like saying, hey, you got to learn to sprint before you can even walk. So I'm a big fan of like simplifying the shit out of stuff. Like this is not complicated. It's literally just improve yourself, improve your physical appearance, improve your mindset, walk up to a lot of women and say, hi, hello, hi, would you like to go out with me? Okay. Or no. And then you go talk to the next woman.
No, that again, of course, definitely all of that's true. Yeah, they were really hard on this guy. They really wanted him to get laid. And like a lot of people here were even like kind of trying to, help him. I know I was, like in the club, he was like really uncomfortable trying to dance with girls and stuff like that. I was showing him some stuff, but the stuff I kind of did in the club was bold, like trying to dance on the chick and seeing if she's down. And I've had like some abrupt responses like that where oh no, and like I go to the next one and he tried that and it kind of hurt him a little bit. I was like, okay, let's like a lot of people are really were trying to help this guy. I've noticed the tone and the thing about the program is they were really trying to prioritize getting laid. And again, nothing wrong with it, but they were not in my opinion, man, action is way more freaking valuable than getting laid. Like getting laid is icing on the cake. It's icing on the cake. If you took action and you put your heart and soul, you did everything you could, you just take action and you're really resilient and you allow yourself to grow, your balls and your backbone. You allow yourself to really just develop a lot of courage. You're progressing. You may have not been getting laid, but that's a lot of that is out of your control anyway. All you could do is put in a really good effort overall, But yeah, they would kind of brag about a lot of stuff. And again, we could tell a lot of us didn't really care for it. We don't really care for it. We're trying to like, okay, we understand you got laid. This guy was claiming to get laid like 500 plus times. Oh, I've gotten it with all these hot chicks, 500 plus women. And, they just a bunch of stuff, man. And I remember my first night there when I stayed at this penthouse. I rented a room in this dude's penthouse. Really nice spot. Fucking expensive too. And he was like, yeah, you get access to me, and even when I asked him some questions, he didn't really like say much. I'll never forget, like, kind of behind the scenes, when he talked to me, he actually learned shit from me, man. Some of the stuff I was explaining, he fucking was like just a little shocked about it, like just some of the stuff I was explaining. And like, I remember anytime I would talk about looks around these guys, just like, yeah, some of these girls probably aren't down, they get a little uncomfortable. Like, no, looks don't matter. It's all about your character. They would say shit like that. Looks don't matter. It's all about your character. Yeah, dress well, groom yourself well, but it's all about your character. It's all about your vibe and how alpha and dominant you are, and you just need to follow this mystery method and you go through all these steps to get to attraction. And it was like a really complicated thing, like from A to Z, and they would really strongly emphasize it and make it seem like, hey, if you don't follow mystery method, you'll never, ever get a chick. You have to take it super slow with these chicks. And these guys were saying this, never, ever compliment a girl on her looks. It's needy. It's desperate. Don't do that. Let her chase you. They would say stuff like, talk to her first, but let her chase you. Don't talk about sex. They were like, oh no, don't talk about sex. That's dating suicide. Don't ever talk about sex. Don't bring it up quickly. No. Let her chase you and, let her prove herself to you and validate herself to you, and all this kind of buzzwords like you're building comfort building talk. If you mention sex too quickly, it's going to destroy that attraction and comfort. And like the way they make it an emphasis to bring out these words, like it would make, you would laugh. Trust me. If you saw this, you would just laugh your tail off. You'd be like, this is all bullshit, and
yeah,
they would make it such a huge emphasis. you need to make sure you don't compliment her on her looks. Don't say you find her attractive. That's not alpha. That's not part of mystery method. Let her validate herself to you and let her go through these steps, go through comfort, seduction, attraction. Funny thing is they put seduction in there. All it is dishonesty and manipulation. And like, women know you want to fuck them. Like, they know that. Even if you don't say anything, they know that. In one way or another, they know that. And this guy's like, well, just act like you really care about like their non-sexual time, attention, companionship. Basically, lie your ass off. Like, just don't mention anything to the sex. Just really like, be social and provide value and, make sure, just the words, man. Like, I laugh at it now because like it was crazy. I laugh my tail off at it now, man. They were making such a strong emphasis on that. Like, oh, your body language, let's, provide value to these girls. Don't just, they would have like this weird double talk. Like, hey, don't try to get laid. And then the part of them was like, okay, let's try to get laid. It was this weird, like, double talk. I'm like, well, that's what we're trying to do here, right? Like, it's just stop being full of shit. That's what went through my mind. I was like, stop being full of shit, man. It's not about getting laid here. But then they were like really trying to get these guys laid because they want to sell more of their programs so that they can have them do testimonials and stuff like that. And they were doing a documentary on us. They were filming us doing these approaches and stuff like that. In fact, in one of this dude's videos, which I don't even think they asked the girls, because the camera guy, I don't even know if it's even true, the guy that did our photo shoots and stuff, but he claimed to, do stuff for like celebrities like Drake, Sway Lee, and stuff like that. I don't even know if that's true, man. I don't believe it, because if they're teaching people to be full of shit to other people, wouldn't it be kind of safe to assume they'll probably be full of shit to you? Safe assumption, right?
Yeah. I want to go back a step here. Something that you talked about before, you're sort of explaining how they give you a bunch of rules and they say you have to stick to our rules. These are the only way that you can get laid. If you don't do these, then you're a pussy. You're not an alpha male. You're doing it wrong. This is the only method that works. Ladies and gentlemen, that is called a cult. Everybody listening, be very fucking cautious. This is just a general life thing. This isn't even about getting laid. Be very fucking cautious of someone who says to you, this is the only way to live your life correctly. Everyone else is wrong. And then they try and guilt trip you or shame you if you don't follow their thing. And then they have something to sell you. I will lay this out right here for all of you listening. There are a million different ways for you to have sex with people. There are a million different ways to get laid. There are a million different ways to build a business. There are a million different ways to lose weight. There are a million different diets. And guess what? The majority of them, or at least a huge percentage of them, some portion of them, work, which means you have options. I will never, ever, ever sit here and say what I have to tell you is the only way to get laid, or what I have to tell you is the only way to live your life. In fact, as you know, I kind of do the exact opposite in the coaching program. We start by saying, what do you want? What would you like to do? How would you like to meet women? And as long as it's not hurting anybody else, we will support that. What are your goals? How do you want to do it? People will often say to us, you even did a couple of times, what is the right answer? Or what do you guys think I should do right now? And then in the coaching, we say, what would you like to do? What do you think would be a nice thing to try? And if someone's really lost and they say, I have no idea, then fine, we'll jump in and say, well, you could try this. You could also try this other thing. Which one of those two things appeals to you more? And then they pick that one, they try it, we see what happens. If it worked, great. If it doesn't, we try the other thing and we experiment. But I never sit there, and I will never sit there and dictate how to live your life. And I would be so fucking cautious around someone that has something to sell you in the first place and then tells you, this is the only thing that works. Look how much of an expert I am. Here's why I'm perfect and everyone else is wrong. I'd be careful of that. Something to give as an example of this. So these guys are basically telling you, you can't be honest. And I remember you told us when you came to us for coaching that part of the reason you were attracted to our content and our coaching and all of that, because we were just autistically honest. I was like, what if you just tell women the thing that you want? Or if you're starting a business, what if you just tell people? Or like me with the coaching, what if I just tell you what's in the coaching program? I tell you how much it costs. A lot of coaching programs will keep the price secret until they've done a sales pitch on you. What if I just tell you that it costs this much? What if I just lay it all out for you and then say, would you like this? What if I don't need to do hardcore sales techniques and convince you and objection handle and all of that? I just say, do you want the program, yes or no, or do you want to talk about it? And when I started really embracing that, I found that people like you came to me and they're like, holy shit, this guy's really honest. He's really upfront. I like this style of doing things. I like the way he talks. I want to go with him. And the same thing in your dating life. You got to a point, I mean, you're already at this point when you came to us, but you were like, I'm just going to go up to women and tell them I find them sexy and I want to dance with them and take them out for a drink, or I want to have sex with them. I'm not going to play these bullshit games. I'm just going to be honest with them. And I want to read out this really amazing story that you wrote about the 18-year-old girl that you slept with. So I'm just going to read out what you said. I met this really cute 18-year-old Indian chick. I did a video Snapchat with her. I talked dirty instantly, trying to turn her on, and she was very into it. It was an initial 20-minute sex session. Now it's been a lot more than that. I remember I made a post and I asked Andy for help. I got some suggestions from him, insight and advice about how to attract, younger women and women that I'm into, and all the fears I had around it as an older man, blah, blah, blah. All of those fears and limiting beliefs have now been crushed. This woman, we absolutely vibed really well, and my quick, upfront, straightforward, dirty talking bypassed all the bullshit games and all the fluff, and I did end up getting to know her after. But yeah, I feel incredible. She did pet play with me. She called me daddy. She didn't care about my age. I'm 31 years old, and we had an incredibly fun time. I literally felt like my 18-year-old self, lol. I exploded 6 times with her. It was fun. It was insane. She wants to stay over for a week, and I'm down with that. I thanked her for her willingness to come over. I paid for the Uber ride. She was nearly 2 hours away. It was totally worth it. We had this fun, cool energy. She had a fun, cool, chill vibe, and she's really cute to me. We've been doing a lot of dirty talk to each other over Snapchat, even during my shift, and it's been super fun and sexy. This is a big change from having sex with a 60-year-old to now this young, cute breezy. Just the overall vibe attitude makes me feel incredible, and there's no feeling like it. What a fucking beautiful story, all because you broke the rules and were like, yo, what if I just tell her I want to dirty talk with her when I get her phone number? And it's like, she'll either say yes or no. And then look at what you get if you actually play to win.
Yeah. Fortune favors the bold, man. If you don't try, you'll never know. And I think, if I would have done this like mystery method, like there's a thing in the book where it's like, hey, do like 7 hours of total like comfort building time before you do anything else. It was like crazy stuff to me. 7 hours, like total, like basically they basically want you to do 7 hours total of like interactions over the phone, dates and stuff like that, social interactions with this woman before you do anything else. And that to me is just insane. 7 hours, total comfort building time. Like the more time you spend with this woman, the more she'll be comfortable with you. Just for your viewers, like just because you know someone for like a long period of time, it's not going to increase their freaking interest in you. Like again, let's flip it around. If you're a guy and there's a woman you don't have any attraction to in the first place, there's nothing, and you're even okay with talking to her, you think just because that woman just got you into a friendly, flattering, entertaining conversation that eventually, you should give her some dick? Like, it's fucking stupid to me, man. Like, I'm unapologetically saying that it's fucking stupid, and I've never understood that part, because during some calls, they would tell these guys, like, because there's like a little post program that you're in after, and they would tell these guys, take it freaking slow. You're going to ruin the attraction if you mention anything. Follow this XYZ. And a lot of these guys, I could tell they were getting friend zoned and they didn't realize it. They were like, okay, let me just do this a little more. Don't say anything. They would ask questions like, what do I do in this situation? What do I say? How do I act? And I'm like, dude, you want to have sex with her, but you're just, you're playing games because you're afraid she's not on the same page as you. You're not being courageous enough. You're not putting yourself out there. You're not, like, of course, a woman is going to like everything you say, especially if you're flattering her all the time, telling her all these different things, and you're not putting yourself in a situation where she's going to make that choice to either reciprocate or reject, like, Of course she's gonna fucking like that you're taking her out to lunch all the time and talking to her and like telling her all these stories and trying to entertain her and all this other stuff. Of course she's gonna like that. So of course she's gonna say what a good guy you are. And they think having a positive, quote unquote, positive, enthusiastic response, like friendly, if she's friendly with you, like I'll give you an example. We were approaching in the mall on this program. We were approaching in the mall and they were like, all right, let's try to get, women to go to this after party, because they would have all these after parties at this guy's penthouse. They're like, hey, let's just, invite him to these clubs, because he's like a huge promoter. And dude, it was funny because I got into a situation where I was talking to this girl. I didn't even mention her, that I found her attractive, nothing. I approached her and we were talking for like 30 minutes. And I remember, I told this woman to wait a little bit, like, hey, I got a call. I act like I got a call. We had like a group chat and I was telling them, okay, like she's talking to me for 30 minutes. What do I do here? Even though the part of me is like, how about I just escalate and see if she's interested? Why do I got to talk for a longer time? Yeah. And they were like, no, just talk longer. The longer it goes, it means she's interested. She's already talked for 30 minutes. And that's the thing people don't get. Just because a conversation with a woman, like say she's allowing you to engage in this type of friendly, flattering, entertaining conversation for like a long period of time, like 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour, so on and so forth, doesn't mean she's going to fuck you. Like, that's the thing I never understood, and they're like, oh, hey, no, she's talking to you for a long period of time. That means she's interested in you. Keep building that attraction, keep building that comfort. And I took the advice and like nothing happened. And in fact, later when I reached out to that same chick on Snap and I asked if she wanted to fuck, she was like, no, I'm good. I'm not interested. I'm like, what the fuck? I could have found that out instead of thinking maybe if I visit this place sometime, maybe I'll get it. So it was like really weird advice. And funny thing is, like while it is true, direct, you are going to provoke a lot more. Like, women are going to respond to you how they're going to respond to you. You can't control that. The only thing is don't approach women if you're so afraid. That's the only thing. You're rejecting yourself, though, as a guy. If you don't try, you'll never know, even at least take a baby step and think about it and just slowly progress, like obviously what we preach here. But yeah, man, it was the weirdest stuff. And in fact, funny thing is, I almost got kicked out of that mall. I was approaching a lot, and like there was a chick that, again, I didn't say nothing sexually provocative. I didn't say anything XXX rated. I didn't say anything sexual, nothing. Didn't even compliment her appearance. I approached this one girl. She didn't like me at all. Her body language and her facial expression, she was like, grr, 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 and I left her alone. I said, hey, I like your style. They want us to say that, so I like your style. I told her, hey, I really like your style. How are you doing today? And she's just like, grr, grr, grr. And like, I left her alone. I was like, okay, she's not happy. And she went and told security, and security saw me talking to another chick. And they were like on the radio and they were like kind of following me. And I just walked out. I was like, oh shit, I almost got kicked out of here, man. And I wasn't saying nothing provocative. Some people will say like, hey, if you're too direct.
Even when you play it safe, people are still going to have a negative reaction sometimes, which is why we embrace that. And we say, can I be grateful for those reactions? They're teaching me stoicism. They're helping me be more resilient. Nothing bad happens just because security asked me to leave. I had that happen one time. And so I just left. I was like, okay, no worries. Like, I hope you have a nice day. And then I left. Like, that's it. That's the worst case scenario. Or in the case of rejection, guy's biggest fear is, what if she rejects me? It's like, then she just says, I'm not interested. And you say, okay, have a nice day. And then you go talk to the next woman. Like, nothing bad happens. And I think something that you got really good at doing was ignoring the rejection, like looking past it and saying, okay, this is teaching me something. I'm grateful for these. I really appreciate her time. You got really good at being very polite to women. And I think that's the key here. You are very sexually upfront. One of the most upfront people I've ever met in my entire life. And so am I. I literally say, hi, would you like to do BDSM and threesomes with me and my girlfriend? Here's some pictures of us. That's pretty fucking upfront. But we both also pair that with being very fucking polite. You and I are extremely polite. We are extremely aware of people's boundaries. We completely respect if someone says, no, thank you, I'm not interested. Or if a woman has a negative reaction, we're like, hey, seems like you're not into this. I hope you have a nice day. It was nice talking to you. And when you pair those two things together, like being extremely upfront and masculine and honest, autistically honest, pairing that with politeness, fucking hell, bro, that's like a winning combination. Women, I mean, people in general fucking love that, but women especially love that. And that's probably my best tip for anyone else that wants to do what you did or what you do, which is, you on dating apps literally say, hey, I'd love to exchange orgasms with you. Is that something you're up for? You just be polite like that. Like, you can literally say what to a lot of you will think. You'll think it's the craziest, wildest shit ever. But if you're polite about it, it's not that wild. You can literally say, would you like to exchange orgasms with me? I'd love that. Or in my case, hey, would you like to try some threesomes and BDSM? Is that something you've ever thought about or something that you're interested in? Like, you can just be nice. It's the same as my coaching shit. I'm just like, hey, would you like to pay me $11,000? And if you don't want to, that's beautiful. If you want to, you can. Like, you're allowed to ask for the wildest shit in the entire world that you could ever imagine. And a lot of people will want to give it to you. And even the people that don't want to give it to you, as long as you're pretty fucking polite, most of them will be nice. And then the ones who are not nice, like the ones who, like the girl you said, are like, first of all, that's only like 1 in 200 people. But even then, you're just like, hey, looks like you're having a bad day. You're growling at me like a dog. It basically, you can almost say it happens so little that you won't remember. You'll remember like the 10 times someone gave you a very negative reaction. And if you can learn to be grateful for those reactions because they are teaching you to be more stoic and more resilient, oh my fucking God. Like, these people are basically testing you and helping you practice your stoicism. And so I guess my question to you is, if there's guys out there listening who want to be as like courageous as you, and maybe they want to start saying, hey, I'd love to exchange orgasms with you. Or, hey, I find you really sexy and really attractive. I'd love to take you out on a date. But they're nervous to start doing it. How did you get over that fear of, I can't say this, it's socially inappropriate, I shouldn't do this? And how did you actually start doing it for the first couple of times when you did it?
I like this question. I could say for sure, I've had definitely a lot of fears. It wasn't always like this, definitely far from it, way far from it. I think I used to be a complete 180 than what I am today. I think it's just a lot of social programming. It's just a lot of experiences, I mean, a lot of the things that I do, it's nothing really unique. I mean, like, for example, Chris from Good Looking Loser talks about like exposure therapy and stuff like that, basically I would say if you're very, very like your ego is very fragile, you just have really thin skin and you really like care about what a woman thinks about you. And you really, it really like devastates you if you get rejected. Like, let's just say one woman, you go up to her and just any rejection, even her being very polite about it, is going to devastate you. I think, for those men that actually are at that point where they can't even approach at all, they can't even think about it, or just they can, but it devastates them. I would say they should really question, why do you like, okay, you want to be upfront with a woman. Why are you afraid of it? What are you afraid of in the first place? What are you afraid of? Let's just say she's rude to you. You could just walk away. Of course, rationally, that would make sense, right? She doesn't want you. You could just walk away. You're not going to get like punched in the face. Like the guy, I think, these fears, it's like guys just make a habit of, for some reason, they'll hear from other people. They'll imagine like the worst case scenarios. Like, oh, if I do this, she's going to slap the shit out of me, or she's going to direct a bunch of men to beat me up or something like that. Like, they imagine like the worst case scenarios. That's pretty much approach anxiety in a nutshell. You imagine the worst case scenarios that if you do something, this will happen in response. I mean, like, I would say baby steps, everything that you've already preached on this channel, baby steps, thinking about it, and just even starting out being indirect. Funny thing is, in that mystery method book, there's an excerpt that says, if you're framed strong enough, you can get away with saying anything. There's literally an excerpt in that book. If you're framed strong enough, you could get away with saying anything. I'm like, okay, I'll just go to that. I can just cut out all the 400 and some pages, and that's like one valuable thing out of that book. If you're framed strong enough, You could say anything. And it made me kind of laugh because, the story that I told you about the girl that was like kind of resistant over the phone, and, I told her the stuff that was also like, because there's like the chat, you can still talk to these guys. I told them that story. And funny thing is, one of the instructors was like, well, this dude was just exhibiting the traits of an alpha male. They're making it seem like I was doing something so special. Like, because I was telling them how I was talking dirty. They're like, yeah, he was alpha and bull. I didn't really care for it. It made me kind of laugh because all I said was, I just want to have sex with this woman. Was she down? And if she's not, and if she was, I was just, just want to get to the point. But they're making it seem like this small thing was such a huge thing. But yeah, back to the question about, how I overcame that. Just throughout my life, I approach as much as I can. I do it every day. I think you have to really experience, to put it bluntly, is is way more valuable than theory. Just going out there, even trying to weigh that a woman, like small stuff like that. And, like just trying little by little and just saying to yourself, look, in fact, I'm going to go out there and get rejected. We're going to have a go out there and get rejected challenge. You're going to go out there and get your ass rejected. If you get laid, it's icing on the cake. You took action. Prioritize action and you feeling good about yourself regardless. Then, whatever response you get, because you can't control that. It is something to be said when guys really put this very strong emphasis on getting laid. I see it like this, and I've kind of, a Good Looking Loser had like an audio a while back called like, approach women like a self-respect issue. I'd rather approach and not be a pussy, or like say like self-respect, I like really embody that with why I do what I do. Like, honestly, if I could choose between these two scenarios, one scenario, you have to wine and dine this one chick, be full of shit. You take her out on 10 dates, but you're playing as safe as humanly possible. She's laughing at all your jokes. You have to talk to her on the phone for an hour each day. You got to say all these things. And then she lets you fuck her, but she has no respect for you. Whereas the other way, I get rejected, but the woman has respect for me. I'd rather, or just I have my self-respect intact. I'd rather have my self-respect intact, man, because, it's way more important to me. Getting laid is awesome, obviously, but self-respect, way important, man. I'm not gonna, if I don't want to take a woman out on a date to have sex with her, I'm gonna be firm about it. And some guys will say, oh, well, and again, these common myths, you're leaving pussy on the table. Oh, you lost attraction if you go up front. She's gonna lose attraction for you or lose interest in you. And again, factually, I'm just gonna cut that bullshit to rest. If a woman was never ever interested in you in the first place, you're not losing her interest. She was never interested in you in the first place, unless she indicated to you that she was interested in you in some way, shape, or form. You're not losing her interest. It was never there in the first place. And when guys say you're going to leave pussy on the table because you're too quick with your intentions, again, same thing. Unless it was offered to you, guaranteed, you didn't lose it. It was never offered to you in the first place. That's like people that say, hey, you better go buy a lottery ticket or else you're leaving like $300 million on the table. You ain't guaranteed to get that fucking money.
That's a really good analogy. Yeah.
Like, people will say this type of, I think some people like to talk out of their ass and not logically think these things. No disrespect to them if they do, but like, I'll hear this type of shit. Oh, you're going to lose attraction, lose interest. You've lost the girl. You didn't lose anything. In fact, in some cases, if you continue to talk long, you're going to lose time and money, and she's going to reject your fucking ass. So it's like triple whammy there, like, it's just, you hear this type of shit. You're going to leave pussy on the table. So, okay, let's just say this scenario, just for this example. There's like 100 women you approach. Out of 10 of them, 9 of them will be interested in you if you lie your ass off and act like you want a long-term, emotionally profound relationship. Like you really care about their non-sexual company, but you have to lie your fucking ass off and be basically really good at being full of bullshit. You gotta lie, you gotta play this front and act like you really care more about their company non-sexually than you do just sexually, when in reality, you just care for their company sexually. You have to play this type of game like you're acting, basically. And the other one where you just run into a chick that just, she's down. You're non-judgmental. She gives it up to you quick. You respect her for giving it up to you quick, not making you jump through hoops, taking her out on dates and lunch and all this other crap. And she lets you fuck her right there quickly. I'd rather do that than, yeah, my lay percentage would have been more. I don't give a fuck, because those weren't even guaranteed in the first place. So I personally, I don't feel like I've lost anything by doing what I'm doing. I don't think I've lost anything. In fact, I've gained a lot as a person. I've gained a lot as a man. I've gained a lot of more courage. And then, it's just, honestly, if I could like distill it down, I know it's kind of a long tangent, but I need to get that to rest, man, because people say, hey, if you're too upfront like this, you're going to lose out. You're not losing nothing. I guarantee you that you're not, because none of these women came back and said, hey, on the third date, I would have had sex with you. If you took me out to 3 dates, none of them did. Not a single woman was like, hey, you were way too quick. I'm turned off because you were way too quick. That's why I didn't have sex with you. None of these women were like, hey, you know what? Not even like their female friend or male friend was like, hey, that girl Tiffany over there? I know you found her really attractive. She told me that you were way too provocative and that's why she didn't have sex with you. If a woman's interested in you and finds you physically attractive and sexually appealing, and she's, you're not judgmental, she's going to have sex with you, man. Like, she's not going to be offended by your speech, man. She's not going to be offended when you say, hey, you're really sexy, you're really attractive, let's exchange orgasms, let's have sex. Even some of the stuff that I've said that's even more sexually explicit and XXX rated than that, and they were down with it. So I just wanted to put that BS to rest. Just because you talk to a woman for a long period of time doesn't mean she's fucking interested in you. If it was just like in this world where men and women would just be upfront right from the get-go, there wouldn't be a need to be direct, actually, if you think about it. Because say you go up to a woman and you say you like her style and you try to initiate conversation and she just tells you up front, I'm not interested. And that was like the common thing. If a man was interested in a woman, they'll just be upfront. If a woman was interested, there would be no need to be direct, man. There wouldn't be a need for it. But yeah, you just got to take the baby steps, what's preached on this channel, and you have to really question why you have these fears and really work through those fears, like the egotistical insecurities, limiting beliefs, not feeling good enough. There's like I could give like an example of some fears that guys have, like, and basically question, how can you overcome those fears? Do you want to overcome those fears? Do you desire to actually make some improvement towards overcoming those fears? Like there's like fears like, hey, if I go up and, ask if she wants to have sex, she's going to slap me. And the thing about these fears, the guys that have these fears, it's never happened to them. Yeah. I had a guy tell me, I'm afraid a woman's going to call the cops on me if I ask if she wants to have sex. And I asked this dude, has that ever happened to you? Has a woman ever told you, hey, in response, that she's going to call the cops on you? Has that happened to you? And he's like, no, it hasn't. So why are you worrying about it then? So, funny thing is, the other day I got a text from a woman saying that, I'm going to send your number to the police after I asked. And she was like 40 something years old. She was a grown ass woman. She knows better. Yeah. She sent me a text saying, hey, you can't ask me that. I'm going to send your number to the police. And I was like, okay, have a great day. Nothing ever happened to me. Nothing happened to me, man. And it made me laugh. It was like, okay, I mean, they're not interested. Now I know that, but like,
yeah. As rare as it is, I've had similar, like, a woman has messaged me on Hinge or something. It's super rare, but I've had a couple of women message on Hinge and be like, you're into BDSM? That's abuse. You're abusing your partner. And it's like, okay, have a nice day. Like, that's it. That's the worst that happens. Okay, you think I'm abusing my partner? I don't think I am. I love and care about my partners very much. I'm very gentle and caring, and I make sure they have a good time. you don't know any of that, you're not really interested in that, that's okay. Like, these are the sort of fringe, rare 0.1% things that happen. Like 1 in 1,000 women will be like this. And you're right. Guys will build up this big mountain out of a molehill and they'll be terrified of that happening. And they go, but what if the police get called on me? For what? Walking up to women and being like, hi, I thought you were cute and I wanted to say hi. If someone calls the police, you can, one, just leave. Just be like, okay, you're calling the police. I'm going home. By the time they get here, I'll be at home. Bye. Crazy. Or stand there and the police come and they're like, hey, were you harassing this woman? No, I walked up to her. I think I was pretty polite. I said, hi, I thought you were cute and I wanted to say hi. She said she was going to call you guys and I kind of stood here to see what would happen. Sorry, she's wasting your time, I guess. And they'd be like, all right, well, can you maybe not talk to her? Yeah, I already was. She's the one harassing me. She called the fucking police on me. Like, that's such an extreme example that basically never happens. Like, this shit is so unbelievably rare. Like, I can count on one hand the number of like these sort of experiences that have ever happened to me over talking to like literally tens of thousands of women.
Yeah, no, that like I'll give an example of a story that it sticks out like a sore thumb, man. Like this one I will never fucking forget it because I saw it all firsthand. I was going grocery shopping. This is way before the program. It's like way before all the other stuff. And it was like this older Asian guy and this older Asian woman. And I people watched a little bit. Like I was getting some groceries. It's just downtown near my place. He approaches this older Asian woman. This is what he said, word for word. Hey, I think you're really gorgeous. How about I take you out on a date sometime? That's all he fucking said. This woman went ballistic, man, and just cursing him out, saying, you can't. Basically, I could tell she just didn't find him attractive at all. She was just repulsed by him. Just her body language, everything. It was ridiculous, though. Like, okay, you could just say no, thank you. But she went off and she legit did call the cops. And fucking they were nearby because it's close. Like, there's always cops everywhere in the city. And the guy was like confused. And it was like these two hot female police officer chicks. They're like these MILF chicks. And I overheard the whole thing. They asked her, what's the issue here? What happened here? Did he grope you? Did he touch you? What's the issue here? And she's like, well, she's trying to drum up and like, he made me uncomfortable. He came up to me and he asked me out and I didn't like that. And they're like, it's not illegal. They like were literally they looked pissed off. They're like, this is not fucking illegal. Did he touch you?
Bro. You know what it reminds me of is like when someone calls the police, and this is an actual thing, you can Google this. When someone calls the police and they're like, help, I'm at McDonald's and they've run out of chicken nuggets. And the police are like, so what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why are you wasting our time? It's that level. And it's such a it's such a rare thing. Again,
I'll never
a lot of people.
It's rare.
Right, a lot of guys
rare.
But a lot of guys will listen to this and be like, see, it does happen. The police do get called. And it's like, first of all, that's 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000, 1 in a million. And second of all, the police come and they're on your side and they laugh with you and they think this is weird. Why did she call us? And so nothing bad happens, man. So many people live their whole life in fear instead of going for what they want and playing to win.
Yeah, that lady, and of course, I had some comments in my head. I was like, lady, at your age, you should be lucky anybody's going to give you some dick. But I was like, okay, I won't say nothing. I watch. I was like, you should be lucky. I mean, a little dry up there. No, I'm kidding. That's fucked up. But anyway, like, it was like so crazy. That was one time and he didn't say nothing even close. And on the flip side, I've said some pretty provocative stuff that's never happened to me. I've never been slapped. I've never had a drink thrown in my face. I've never had a bunch of guys trying to beat me up all of a sudden. Like, oh, what if I say this and she's going to direct a bunch of guys to beat the shit out of me? Like that's never happened to me. I mean, my conversation is qualifying conversation. I find out about this person before I like say my desires and intentions. Like, of course, if she says she's not single, I don't say anything. I leave her alone at that point. But anyway, back to the, how I overcame this. It's just through a lot of experience, questioning these fears and getting a lot of inspiration from other people and getting basically experiences where, like, let's just say I approach a lot and I don't get anything, well, I'm getting a lot of experience. And I, maybe some of these women say some good things. I look back and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get punched in the face. I'm not going to get slapped. Someone will actually like that I approach them. So it's stuff like that. You need like this, you get like a variable different experiences, even the ones that are quote unquote not good, and like I try to do my best to control the self-talk. Like, for example, like you said about the police and stuff like that, thinking, okay, why do you have this fear, and figuring out like how can you alleviate this fear? For guys that have these list of fears, like, oh, what if she says I'm stupid and stuff like that? Like, okay, she called you stupid. Do you have to talk to her anymore? You could just end the conversation. Like, if that really hurts your feelings, like, it'll be like, they'll have like a long list of like, hey, all these fears and stuff. And they're like, you could tell probably 90% of them are irrational fears that make no fucking sense. You could literally tell when you look at them. You're like, okay, you have a fear she's going to, say this, say that. What if she does say this, say that? You just challenge those fears and question them, like and experiencing them yourself and keeping calm as much as you can, and being observant of your surroundings, reading the body language, all this stuff, but not overthinking it though. Oh, what if I go up to her and she just curses me out or yells at me? And again, I've talked to some guys like that. I would ask them, okay, you have a fear of that. Has that ever actually happened to you though? They'll say no, because a lot of those guys don't approach anyway. They'll have like a long list of these fears. Why are you thinking of things that like, it would be a different story if that's actually happened to that guy. Like, if a guy said like, hey, I'm afraid I'm going to get slapped for saying something even remotely provocative, and it's actually happened to him before. Like, let's just say this guy goes up to a woman and says, hey, you're really sexy and you're really attractive. Are you single? And then they talk for 5 minutes. Within 5 minutes, he asks, hey, would you like to exchange orgasms at my place? You're really sexy, really attractive. And she slaps him. If that actually happened, then I could see why a guy would have that fear. But if it's never actually happened, why are you thinking about that? And the more you think about that, you have a better chance of that shit actually happening the more you actually think about it. That's another thing what guys don't understand.
Yeah, all of this obsession about your fears.
Yeah, the more you think.
Playing not to lose and focusing on the thing that you don't want would rather get you to focus on what you do want and playing to win, because then you're going to do the steps to make that happen. Like, if you go out and try and avoid rejection, you'll play it too safe. You won't talk to as many girls. You won't leave the house some days because you're like, what if I get rejected? Then you're not going to win as much. But if you say, okay, put the rejection stuff aside, even if someone says no to me, or they hurt my feelings, or they yell at me, or any of that, which doesn't really ever happen, I promise. But even if it does, I'll be okay. You'll go out and you'll take way more action. Something that I want to really underline here, man, people listening might think, oh, I bet this guy's like ultra fucking mega attractive. He must be some big 6'10" jacked alpha male Chad with the confidence level that he's having and what he's talking about, especially with all the stuff that you achieved. Again, to really underline it, you had 5 friends with benefits at one time. You hooked up with a girl that you approached in a club. You were having phone sex, and you still do this. Phone sex within like 30 seconds of getting girls' phone number. All of the stuff that you've achieved, I wouldn't say you're the most attractive person on the planet. To me, you look just like a normal average guy. You have quite a bit of weight to lose, and we helped you with that a little bit in the coaching. When you first came to the coaching, we did a lot to work on your grooming and stuff. I was like, dude, we got to get you a haircut, my man. Holy shit. And we got to get that beard trimmed, and you got to shave the neck beard. Like, we did quite a bit to improve your appearance. But I really want to make it obvious to everyone listening, you're not some big alpha male Chad who looks like a fucking Greek god. You even said in your final post, I'm proud of myself for taking imperfect action with my current pictures on dating apps. I didn't make excuses about needing to be perfect. I just took action regardless. And you didn't have the world's best pictures. Again, we helped you take some better ones. But you're not some perfect fucking Chad. You are, like, to me, the very definition of like the average American. Overweight, average dress sense. You're just an average dude. But your fucking mindset, you were like, I don't care that I'm average. Why the fuck does an average guy not deserve to have sex? Why the fuck does an average guy not deserve to get results? So many people procrastinate taking action because they see these fancy guys on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, and they build up this fucking concept of a perfect alpha male. And they're like, I can't go talk to any girls until I literally am a god. And since that might take several years and I'm too scared and intimidated to do all of that, fair enough, I'm never going to try. You are the fucking definition, brother, of like, why the hell would I wait? What if I just go talk to, you had that day where you approached 60 women in a day. You mass approached a bunch of girls in a nightclub and got laid. You are the definition of the guy who's like, fuck it. Why wait? I'm going to go talk to them. And all the results that you've had has been while just being like the average fucking dude. You're literally the average dude, absolutely crushing it out here because you don't fucking make excuses. Now, you still have fears. You still have insecurities. You just don't believe them. You don't take them as truth and say, oh yeah, I don't feel like I'm the most attractive guy. Therefore, that must be true and I shouldn't bother. I feel like girls might not want me, so therefore I shouldn't bother. No, you were like, fuck that shit. Why don't I go fucking find out? So many guys sitting at home listening right now are too afraid to go out and find out. Like, what if that woman on the street wants to bang you, but you didn't even bother asking? What if that girl that you're taking on 5 dates and playing it safe and buying her dinner and talking about shit you don't care about so that she doesn't fucking leave you, what if she wants to fuck you, but you're too busy just wasting time? And then after 5 dates, she goes, okay, I guess he's not into me because he hasn't told me that he finds me attractive. He hasn't told me that he wants to sleep with me. Maybe this is just a friendship. Okay, I'm not going to see him for a 6th date because I can't be bothered waiting. The number of times I've had that conversation with women where I'm like, what happened with the last couple of guys you went on dates with? He took me on 10 dates and then I got bored and I guess he wasn't into me. And I'm like, no, you're fucking attractive. Believe me, he wanted to fuck the shit out of you. And these girls literally say, really? It's like, yes. Are you fucking kidding me? You are stupendously attractive. I'm literally banging the shit out of you. Yes, you're incredibly fucking attractive. And they're like, oh, really? I thought maybe I'm ugly or my boobs are too small or I'm not pretty enough. Like so many guys out there breaking girls' hearts without even meaning to because they're playing it safe. Meanwhile, in their head, they're like, yeah, this is working. I'm playing it ultra safe. At least I'm not going to get rejected. No, you might break a fucking girl's heart because you go on 10 dates and don't make it apparent that you find her at least pretty or at least attractive or you're interested in her for something other than, what was your childhood like? What's your favorite color, red or blue? Do you like broccoli more than asparagus or whatever other bullshit that you're talking about? If you could just take the courage and have the balls, and you all have the balls, if you could just take that leap of faith, and I know it's fucking scary, to just say, I find you pretty. I think you're attractive. Would you like to have sex with me? Or would you like to go on a date with me and see if we want to have sex? Do you want to see if there's some chemistry there? If you would actually just fucking do something to move towards the thing that you actually want, my God, would women respect you for it? And my God, would you get what you want a lot more and a lot more easily than you think you are capable of doing, man? So yeah, like to pull it back to the original point, I really want to fucking underline that you're not some special dude. You're not. Like, I don't think you're massively courageous either. And it might appear like you are. People might think, man, this guy's a fucking psychopath with his courage. Like, how is he able to be this courageous? You weren't like that at the start. You fucking shat your pants with this honesty stuff, but you were just like, I'm sick of playing games. Like, what if I just try fucking saying the thing that I want? And it wasn't some big, courageous, amazing thing. No, it was just baby steps, man. Like, that's all you've ever done. Little tiny baby steps towards the person you want to be and the sex life you want to have.
Yeah, no, I'm flattered, man. Yeah, I would definitely say for sure, it all goes also into how I overcame those, fears and stuff like that. Like, for example, it's true you have unlimited tries, and I kind of expand upon that, concept. Like, it's in my world, man, the way I view it is just it's quote unquote success is pretty much a statistical impossibility, man. I might not get it that day, but it could happen tomorrow. And who's to say? Like, we could all say like, hey, not every woman's gonna want you. That's true. But on the flip side of that is not every woman's gonna not want you. There's gonna be some that will.
Yeah.
When I view it like that, like, people can say like, oh fuck, not every woman's gonna want me, but that doesn't mean every fucking woman's gonna not want you though either.
Yeah, bro, so many guys have completely and utterly convinced themselves that there's not a single woman on the entire planet that would ever find them attractive. Here's what I say every time some guy says that. Why don't you go and ask every woman on the planet if they're interested in you? What will happen? You'll approach like 300 of them, and one of them will say, yeah, I like you. I'd love to go on a date. And you go, fuck, I didn't even have to ask every woman on the planet. It only took 300, and it will take less than that, but it only took 100 before one was like, yeah, I'd love to go on a date with you. And you go, holy shit, maybe I was full of shit. If I run the numbers on that, if 1 in 100 women is willing to go on a date with me, and it's usually even more than that, but 1 in 100, and there's like 4 billion women on the planet, holy shit, that's a lot of women. What is that, 40 million? I don't know if my maths is correct on that. I think that's 40 million women on the planet that would go on a date with you. That's pretty fucking good.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Again, that unlimited tries. I just think like, yeah, even if you get these quote unquote negative reactions, like, okay, on to the next one. And I'm going to be like that fucking freight train, man. It's going to get to its destination one way or another, whether they choose to be a passenger on this train or not, whether they choose to or not, it's not my problem. I'm going to keep going. Like, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I went out with my buddy. We went to this really nice club in my city. And I just think it's also like an attitude thing, like we got into a really funny mood. And like, I don't know, I wasn't even trying to be funny, but we were just laughing at just some of the shit I was saying, like how observant I was, like, yeah, that woman over there, I'm going to go fuck her, man. I'll be right back. I'm going to go try. I'm going to fuck her. I would just have like a really cocky, funny attitude about it, and even if that's, the funny thing is, as many times as I've gotten rejected, you would think, hey, this guy's been rejected a lot of times. How the fuck can he really believe in that? Like I just have this positive expectation, and because it's happened before, once you get a good result, all of them are still good. But I would say, like, again, you have unlimited tries. Just because you're quote unquote maybe conventionally average doesn't mean to some other woman that you're just average. There could be a woman that thinks you're fucking attractive. It's looks are subjective as well. There's things that are objective, but for the most part, they're pretty subjective. Like I personally view myself as average in the face, but the women that wanted me, they all viewed me as attractive, man. They wanted me, man. They thought my face was attractive. And like even before like my first story where it was like way worse before this program, that lady thought my face was attractive. I found it hard to believe, but during the sex, she showed that shit. But anyway,
and not just that, brother, but we have so much more to offer than just our attractiveness. This is why one of the exercises that you saw in the coaching program, and I give this to everyone listening, is you sit down, you write 50 things about yourself that are likable. In other words, 50 things that you have to offer of value. Your attractiveness might be one of them. Or if anyone listening feels like you're not attractive, cool. Write down 50 other things that you have to offer people that you might want to date. And then you look at all of that and you go, well, yeah, look at me. I'm lovable. I'm worthy. And yeah, I'm on a self-improvement mission. I'm going to add more things to this list. Maybe I work on my appearance. Yes, that helps a hell of a lot. Maybe I work on my confidence a bit with practice. Yeah, that helps. Maybe I work on my mindset. Of course that helps. I'll get some interesting hobbies, all of that. But I already have 50 things about myself that are likable. And if I can look at these qualities in myself, then maybe there's someone else out there that can as well. And there is. I'm telling you there is. And another thing that I say is often people will sit there and judge themselves and say, I'm ugly, or I'm too old, or I'm too short, or I have bad facial genetics, or I'm too fat, or any of this kind of shit. Realize that other people might not be as fucking judgmental as you are. Like, so many people out there are so judgmental towards themselves. Guess what? There's a lot of fucking nice people in the world who will just look at you and see the beautiful, lovable human being underneath your own self-judgmentalism. And they'll be like, wow, I like this guy. Or I really like this girl. Meanwhile, you're sitting there going, but I'm an ugly piece of shit. Why do you like me? And she's like, I don't think you're ugly at all. I think you're nice. And you're like, oh, shit. Like you said, looks are subjective, but so are all of the other personality traits and all the other things you have to offer as well. But we often look just at the surface and we go, I'm not going to look any deeper than surface level. I don't think my surface is very good. So therefore, I'm not even going to bother. If you want a really good example of this, any of you guys out there that maybe have a girlfriend or that are starting to get some sexual experience, every single time when you're naked in bed with a woman, literally say to her, hey, let's share insecurities. I'll tell you one thing I'm insecure about with my body. You share one thing you're insecure about. You say your thing, like maybe you're like, oh, I think my dick isn't big enough or whatever. And she'll go, but I love your dick, blah, blah, blah. And then you say, okay, your turn. What are you insecure about? And it will blow all of your guys' mind that a lot of women, maybe most women, I don't know, but a lot of women are incredibly fucking insecure about stuff that you look at and say, are you fucking crazy? That's like my favorite part of your body. Things like, my tits are too small. And you're like, I fucking love your tits. I jerk off over pictures of your tits. What are you talking about? Or, she's like, my pussy is too small and tight. And you're like, are you fucking retarded? That's like the hottest thing ever. Or, okay, I once slept with this girl who got very, 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 very wet during sex, which, yeah, that's like the hottest thing in the entire world. She was deeply insecure about it. She's like, I get too wet and it's my biggest insecurity. It's one of my biggest hangups. And I was like, that would be like a guy being like, oh, my dick is too big. And, I'm so insecure about it. And so the point here is you will often look at a woman and be like, wow, she's perfect. But that's not necessarily what she thinks about herself. And so if you can look at that and be like, wow, she's just really insecure. She's being silly. She's hot as hell. Like, I wish she could see herself the way I can. There are women out there that will look at you the same way. And you're deep in your own head going, I'm insecure. I'm not good enough. And there are a bunch of women out there that would look at you and be like, wow, I wish he could look at himself and see himself the way that I see him. Because I see a cool, attractive, capable, beautiful, lovable man, and he just thinks he's too old or bald or fat or dumb or stupid or whatever. If he could look at himself through my eyes for even just 5 seconds, he would realize the inherent lovability inside himself. And that's the whole point of the coaching. That is the whole point of my content, is to try and get all of you guys and girls to realize that right now you are fucking capable of greatness. Inside all of you beats the heart of a fucking lion. It's just that you're so busy saying, I'm a sheep, I'm a little bitch, I'm not good enough. I'm not an alpha. I'm not courageous enough. I'm too fat, too old, too this, too that. It's like, fuck off with those limiting beliefs. You are more than fucking good enough. And there are people out there that think you're more than good enough. You just haven't gone out there and actually said hello. I think something that you talked about before is that people are so fucking scared of like, but what if I get rejected? And it's like, turn that around, motherfucker. What if you win? What if you get the thing you want? What if the person says, yeah, I like you too, and I'd love to go on a date with you, and you go, holy shit, this is too easy. Why is it happening? Because you fucking tried. You fucking asked. You fucking bothered to just take that little tiny baby step forward towards the life that you want to live. And it really doesn't take anything special. My coaching program isn't special. My coaching program is basically me just saying the same shit that I say on the channel, but just more personal to you. You are not special. I am not special. Nothing we've done is special. I think we're just two guys that bothered to fucking try. And if people out there would actually bother to really try, like properly try, not just try one time and go, oh, she had a boyfriend, so I'm never going to try again. No, fucking talk to more than one woman. But if you would actually bother to try, you would realize how wonderful you are, how fucking cool you are, how fucking interesting you are, how much value you have to give to the world, and how you could literally make the world a better place and your own life if you would just fucking go out there and goddamn well try.
1,000% agree with that. And I think it's just, that self-love component, like I've been told some pretty crazy stuff with some of my like rejections and stuff like that. And I think, if you really love yourself a lot and you feel like you have a lot to offer, like I'll give you an example of like a rejection that I got on one of the apps. This one chick, I said this, hey, let's exchange orgasms with this week or next week work. And she's just like, well, do you got some money? You're ugly as fuck, but I'll do it for money. And I just didn't pay attention to her comment and went to something else. But like you'll get like a lot of these things, and some of that stuff, again, I understand some other guy probably would devastate him. You don't have to view anybody's opinion of you. It's not like you don't have to view it as your reality, basically, like for example, again, your self-talk is like a big thing, like your attitude and just having a really positive expectation of things being in a certain direction, even if they didn't. Like yesterday, me and my buddy, we went to this club and I said, hey, I got no doubt we're going to get laid tonight. I'm going to find somebody. And I just would say it and I'd have a good time. And I would approach like crazy. I would say, hey, it's the same thing. Are you single? And if they said they were, I'd be like, all right, let's exchange orgasms after this club. So would my place or your place work? Or I would say, hey, let's have sex. Would my place or your place work? Are you single? Or, well, I would ask first if they're single, but not a single girl yesterday wanted to dance. None of them wanted to exchange orgasms. Man, I kept going. And I was like, okay, well, on to the next one. I know I'm going to fuck that woman. I would still maintain that like belief. It sounds like crazy. It's like cocky bordering on just, you assume the best positive outcome. And I've noticed anytime that I did not get it, I never, ever, not one time, anytime I said something pretty cocky or bold or confident like that, not one time when I got rejected did I ever feel bad. The opposite, though, when I was indirect and I would try to bullshit around and stuff, and when I got rejected after wasting a lot of time and money on a woman that could potentially not be interested, I would always feel pretty bad. I would feel a lot worse. But the opposite, when I got rejected, being as just assuming the best possible outcome, like assuming that this woman is just as attracted to you as you are of her, like just enthusiastically assuming that until you find out. It gets you to approach and you assume the best, and whatever words in your mouth, you just say it. You don't try to buffer it down like, hey, I just want to warn you. I might say something that might potentially offend you. I might say something that could come off as offensive. You might not like it. It might come off a little too sexually provocative, a little too, warning. Here we go. I'm about to say, please don't get offended. I'm going to fuck you. And then you just like showing you got like a lot of fear and stuff. Like, don't ever buffer that stuff. Just own up to what if you want to say something like that, just freaking say it and let the woman react the way she's going to react. She's going to have her opinions either way, but it'll be like some guys will do that. Like, okay, they basically are saying this.
Bro.
Like
no, here's what they're doing.
Please don't say something.
Exactly that. That's what they're doing. They're going, please, mistress, please don't hurt me. Please don't reject me. Please don't be mean to me. I need you to be nice to me. I'm so needy for it. And if you're like that, that's okay. I was like this. So were you. We both played it safe. But like, yeah, man, like to let all that go and be like, look, you know what? If she hurts my feelings, good. That will help me get stoicism. If she says something that offends me, good. That tells me that I'm too sensitive or that I could make some improvements in being more self-loving, because that's what we're talking about, brother. Like you said it best, when you love yourself, you don't really care what other people say. It might hurt for a little bit. You might be sad for a bit. Then you move past it.
Yeah, no, that's all true, and it's just like there's a point where those things, it'll go like the sting is not even existing anymore. You'll feel a little, I think like very little disappointment, but it's little. It goes away very, very quickly the faster you try to approach someone else. But like that buffering thing, like, oh, warning, like giving like this cautionary warning, trying to like say, hey, I might say something that you may not like, please don't harshly criticize that. I just want to give you a warning. So if I say it and if it hurts your feelings or if you get offended, I let you know ahead of time. I might say something pretty bold and provocative, and you just warning, here we go. And like you say it and like, it's just not the same. And plus I've noticed the opposite is if you truly don't give a fuck if what she says, like you really, really don't care at all. Like you're not fearful of getting rejected at all. You're just like, hey, I took action. You just value something completely different than trying to get this person to like you. The less you'll get a negative, like the less chance you actually get a negative reaction. Because I've noticed the guys that get like a negative reaction, even though they would have gotten it anyway, if you actually really care about that, the more that woman might give you that reaction. Sometimes, like I've noticed, if you appear like you really, really care what she thinks and what she says, the more of a chance that she's gonna really like unleash that. Like, oh, this might hurt this guy. Okay, he said something bold. Now I'm gonna not every woman's like this. Some are, not all. Some will still go polite, but it's better to just basically value action above anything else. Say what you're going to say as confidently as you could and have belief in it regardless. And I've noticed every single time I've done that, when I would just imagine, yep, I have no doubt that woman's down. And I would go, and sometimes they were, sometimes they weren't. I would find out. And I would never ever leave that conversation feeling like, oh fuck, I just got rejected. This feels really bad. It was the opposite. I was like, I was bold. I said what I said, and on to the next one. No problem. I'm I would still maintain that belief the next time. Like, okay, I'm gonna go fuck that woman, man. She's hot. And I remember there was like one time, it makes me kind of laugh. There was this chick sitting like on a chair, like in a park somewhere, and I remember I put myself up. I was like, man, I'm gonna go fuck that woman. I have no doubt in my mind that I will. This positive thing, I was like hyped up, like, like, yeah, I'm gonna go fuck that woman. I approached, like, just direct eye contact. I just held it, and then she just walks off. And I remember that made me laugh. Like, some guys would think, oh, I got ignored. This hurts. I actually laughed my tail off because I was bold and I felt really good about myself. I approached and she walked away. And like, when men get indefinitely ignored, it does feel a little awkward sometimes. No doubt. I still feel a little awkward, but that goes away with time and being more exposed to it. Like, my day-to-day life, I get ignored a lot by a lot of chicks, man. Like, I think that's, you know, you have to experience these different things to be used to it. But to truly believe in that, you have to do it. Like, people that are listening to this, you just have to take action and experience those things, and you'll know those concepts will be very real. You have to actually experience it, though. Like, for example, the positive stuff, like, yeah, like, I would say some cocky stuff with my buddy over there, like, yeah, we're gonna fuck somebody tonight. Like, I have no doubt there's girls here that are interested in us. This is gonna be a fun time. I'm going after it. And I just visualize myself being like a freight train that either way it's just getting to its destination, and I have a fun time doing it. Like, yeah, I can handle these fucking rejections. I actually value being able to handle rejection than actually getting laid. And it's funner that way. In fact, I have a higher value on taking action and saying what I wanted to say and not holding back. And that's it. Whether that woman reciprocates or not, I literally feel happier. My most memorable, like, rejections, honestly, like, I'll give you an example of like a really memorable rejection that I'll never forget, because I remember there was this one chick, like, it was like a park near my house. Again, like, I didn't say if I found her attractive, none of this stuff. I would talk to her and all this other stuff. We exchanged like pleasantries, just this fluff talk. And one time, I didn't think she was interested. She called me and she's like, hey, you want to hang out with me and my buddies at this club? I thought, oh, maybe she's interested, and I go to this club. I try to dance with her. I could tell by her body language she doesn't really want to dance. And she kind of like held my arms like, hey, can you buy us some drinks? She tried to buy her them drinks. And I was like, oh, no, I don't want any drinks. It's fine. She really wanted me to buy them drinks. And I just kind of politely, she didn't want to dance, nothing. And after that night, she kind of was like, well, hey, why didn't you, do this for me? She got like a little upset about it. I didn't understand it. And I just kind of politely said, oh, hey, I don't know what to tell you. I didn't think she was interested. She didn't say if she was or not. It was pretty vague. The next day, she was in her car. I was walking down the street. I saw her in her car and I recognized her. And she, again, really friendly. She's like, hey, how are you doing? And I was like, hey, I'm doing great. Like, I'm just on the way to work. And I asked, hey, how about we hang out sometime? And she's like, oh, yeah, we should do that. She was super friendly. And she's like, okay, what do you want to do when we hang out? And my mind's like, man, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Like, and part of me is a little fearful. I was like, okay, I shouldn't say what I'm going to say. I'll just say, we'll just get a drink or something. No. I was like, nope. You're going to say what you're going to say. And she's like, so what are we going to do if we're going to hang out? And I said, we're having sex. And she's just like, her face changed. It was like a complete 180. And she's just like, you're stupid. We're not having sex. She, like, her face changed. She had that smirk. She's like, you're stupid. We're not having sex. It made me laugh because of how friendly she was. She was hella friendly, and her face complete 180, man. Like, that's why I like laughed my tail off, because holy fuck, this is who she really was. She turned into a demon.
This is one of the biggest reasons why we talk about honesty, is you are telling the other person who you are and what you want. And then you're also giving them an opportunity to show you who they are and what they want. And if you play games, you said this really great quote that I want to read out. If you are a man who intentionally plays games with women, you open the door for women to play games with you. If you had played games with this woman and just said, oh, we'll grab a drink, we'll have a coffee, we'll get to know each other, when what you really wanted was something casual, something sexual, then you would have gone on dates. She would have been like, oh, you got the bill, right? You can pay for this. And you would have gone, oh, okay, I guess so, mistress. Like, please don't break up with me. Please don't think less of me. Sure, I'll buy you a coffee, please. Please don't reject me. And you would have just played games with each other. And it seems like, I mean, we can't know, but she seemed very keen to get you to buy something and not so keen to have sex with you. Because when you asked, no, we're not having sex. So what? Would you have gone on like 3 dates, 5 dates? How many dates do you go on? You put yourself in the friend zone. This is what I say to guys and girls all the time. When they're like, I'm in the friend zone, it's like, motherfucker, you put yourself in that cage, you shut the door, you put a giant padlock on it, then you put a padlock on your penis and your balls, and you said, I'm in the friend zone. She put me in the friend zone. And she's like, no, I didn't. You willingly went along with it. And so if you're able to just be honest and upfront and say, hey, I would like to have sex with you. Or, if you're not that courageous yet, or you haven't practiced that, fine. Then say, I find you really attractive. I'd love to take you out on a drink and see if there's I'd love to take you out on a date and see if there's chemistry. That's pretty fucking obvious. If you can get to that point and keep pushing for even more honesty, you save so much time because people show you their true colors. They're like, oh no, I don't want to have sex with you. And you're like, great, I just saved myself literally months of going on dates with you, putting myself in the friend zone, wasting my own time and kind of wasting yours as well. And now we get to go our separate ways and figure out what we both want. Let's start kind of wrapping up. I'd love to know what goals are next for you. And I believe you're even sort of following in my footsteps with your own YouTube channel that you're starting or that you've already started, helping other guys and sort of doing very similar content to me.
Yeah, I started a channel during the program called Upfront and Erotic. I've made some videos on some of these topics that, basically it's a channel about what we talk about here a little bit. And I go over some of my experiences and just breaking some myths that people have. I think I got 50 plus videos now at this point. During the program, I had around 30. I did 2 audio interviews. One of them was a chick where I was, basically in less than 90 seconds, I went up to this chick face to face and basically told her I wanted to fuck her. And I go over that experience. I have an interview with this chick. And funny thing is, I still talk to that woman to this day. People, they get to know, with certain men think, hey, I got to get to know a woman to have sex with her versus having sex with a woman and coming to know her. It's different. It's way different. Coming to know a woman after you've had sex with her is is insanely genuine, and it's not forced. Anytime you have a conversation with somebody, if it feels forced, man, it means you don't want to be there. That's a rule of thumb, really. If you have to talk to them and it feels like you're doing fucking work, it's forced, you're not coming to know that woman. You're trying to get to know her in this way. It's different. But anyway, yeah, that's my channel.
Any other goals you're working on?
I've been trying to get a threesome. I've been getting closer and closer. And there was some chicks that were open to that. It's just finding another chick to get to that. I'm still working on my remote stuff. I'm still looks maxing as much as I can. It's a daily thing, working out as much as I can, doing my approaches, all that stuff. Even, if a guy asks me for help, I'll help. There was actually someone in the group that had, again, similar phrase, hey, I don't want to send this text to this woman. I'm afraid of this, and this. I helped him overcome that. He did it. And yeah, the woman let him down nicely. So he's really happy. I'm like, hey, you overcame that fear. You took action. Even if she was rude, you still took action. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's all that fucking matters, man.
What are the 2 biggest benefits that our coaching program gave you?
I would say it enabled me to have a really good group of accountability partners and friends and, having unique perspectives, as well as helping me do the things that I know I should have been doing. Because I noticed with coaching, a lot of the things that has been taught, we could learn from your channel, but it's different when you're in a group like this. It helps you do the things that you need to do, and basically telling you the things you're doing now, we can improve upon those things, giving you that encouragement and motivation and individual basically individual like focus, I would say it helped me do, how do I say it? It helped me do the things that I know I should have been doing. And having that extra support really made a difference, because I don't think, maybe I would have not got the results if it wasn't for this. I think it would have been like, it would have took longer. This helps kind of like a shortcut. And then I'd say the secondary benefit is you're going to be with the group of people that pretty much care a lot about you, and it's a brotherhood for life. I still talk to the same guys. We still do weekly calls, and you're going to be in this big group, and you can talk to other people, unique perspectives. Maybe you have an insecurity or a fear you'd like addressed, and maybe there's someone in the group that's actually overcame that fear. Like the guy that I helped, he had a fear of like, oh, a woman's going to call the cops on me or something like that if I say this. And I told, look, I've done this so many times. You may get that, but chance of that happening is pretty low, and you're not going to go to jail. You're fine, man. It was just like, you'll have access to people like that. Yeah, those are the two benefits that I foresee.
Hell yeah, man. I love that. If someone's on the fence about signing up for our coaching program, what would you say to that guy?
I would say you should do a call with Andy. Obviously, you should do a call and see if you're right for each other. I mean, I can't say that, we're forever. Nobody's ever for everybody. We already know this. But just to get a good feel, like do a call with Andy, obviously do a call with you and see where you both stand, and, be honest and truthful about what you want to accomplish, and see if it's within your budget, all this other stuff, and like work things out. Like say you really want to do the program, but maybe money's pretty tight. I'm pretty sure, you could work something out, like a payment plan, all this other stuff. Just things like that. Everything's pretty transparent. The price is on the website. There's no like, do this call and then all of a sudden all this other stuff. No, it's upfront. You're going to see what's there, man. It's not, no bullshit, no sugarcoating, no like surprises. So I would say look at that. I would say if the things in, this channel really resonate with you, definitely book a call and see where you both stand. It's a two-way street. Maybe this person's not the right client, or maybe they're not, right for the coaching, or the coaching's not right for them. It's a two-way street, but only one way to do it, and that's finding out.
Hell yeah, brother. I appreciate you more than I can even begin to say. Every single week when you were in the coaching program, you helped so many of the other guys in there. A lot of the time you would come in and basically be a coach yourself. And even if you didn't have all the answers, you had the world's biggest heart that I think I've ever seen. You gave so much wisdom to other people. I mean, the evidence of that is you've just sat here with me for 2 hours, giving as much value and love to everybody listening. And so I really genuinely mean this. I feel very, very honored to know you as a person. I feel a lot more honored that you asked me to be your coach. And I'm really grateful for you, man. Thank you for everything that you've given me. Thank you for everything you've given my other clients. Thank you for what you've given to the audience. And I genuinely mean this. Thank you for being you.
Aw, I'm flattered, man. Yeah, I'm thankful that, that you pursued me for an interview. I'm very, I think it's like rare, I don't think I do much special things, but I'm like, okay, I feel pretty grateful about it. I'm thankful for it. I hope whoever listens to this interview, just if you have these fears, of just basically, telling a woman what you're really thinking, it's not impossible. It takes a lot of courage, but you're gonna be more thankful that you were who you really were. You're gonna be happy that you had courage, you had the balls, you had the confidence. And I think that taking those steps, everything that's already been talked about, really. But yeah, no, I completely understand about all those fears. They could be debilitating. Yeah, no, I want to thank you for having me on this interview. And I hope whoever was watching this does book a call and like looks into the coaching. It's really helpful, really beneficial. And I think that, it helps someone like me. I was struggling for a while, here and there. And I've done a lot more in those couple months than I have in a lot of other times.
Hell yeah, man. Nothing but love for you, man. Thank you so much.